Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Just before I introduce my guest today, I'd like to give a very special shout out to the Park Tavern in Southend-on-Sea, as we're currently recording today's interview live in person. I would actually highly recommend visiting this pub if you're in the area, as they offer live music, karaoke, sports and TV, tasty food, great customer service, good atmosphere, low prices, and even events for the families, including wrestling. Shout out to DK Academy, who also host their well-received shows at the Park Tavern. What more can you ask for? Today's guest is a pro wrestler, an entertainer, Mr. Vintage, 92, the idol of the barmaid. I love that part. Please welcome Champagne Charlie. How you doing today, mate? You're good?
I'm really good. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm looking forward to this.
No problem at all. It's a small world. It is a small world. The fact that we are actually from the same town. So we actually arranged to do this interview not long ago and, kind of meet in the middle. We found a pub that we actually are both aware of.
Absolutely. It's just that when you messaged me for this, I mean, obviously I'd seen your podcast on Instagram and YouTube and everything. But it was just amazing that when we started talking, that exactly how close we actually live. So it was just the weirdest.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And we're not just saying this for the sake of it, but we have actually never really interacted with each other either.
No, but we know similar people though, as well. So,
yeah. I've had people like friends with in the business on the show as well. Although actually, tell a lie, I did meet you, Wembley.
Yeah, very briefly. Though.
I didn't actually know who you were at the time. I didn't actually know you from Southend, but to say this because we're all wrestling fans, I can get away with it. But we scissored.
Yeah.
How you doing? We're doing it right now.
That's for the acclaim record.
That is for the acclaim. That's not us being weird, but it was a great show, fantastic show. But we're not here to talk about all in.
Yes.
We're actually here to discover the career of Champagne Charlie. But before we do that, we do need to rewind the clocks and discover what made you a wrestling fan.
I remember this very, very well. What made me a wrestling fan was I was about 8 or 9 years old, I think. And my cousin Ryan, who's a few years older than me, I remember I used to go around to his house on a Friday. And this is back in the early 2000s. They used to show Monday Night Raw on Sky Sports on Friday. You know, and so I would go down there, and he sat me down, and we started watching Raw. And I remember the first ever match I ever watched. This was early 2001, like I said. So this was I remember seeing Right to Center come out. Yeah.
Underrated gimmick, mate. Underrated.
Steve Richards, Val Venus, Goodfather, Paul Buchanan. All four of them come out, and they start doing their preachy stuff in the ring, and then this big explosion comes out. And out walking side by side come the Undertaker and Kane. And that was the moment I was like, "What is this?" You were hooked. And just those two presents there. And they came down to them, and they beat the hell out of them.
I think that's when Right Sense were kind of on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 2000s, they were pretty much at their peak. They were tag team champions, but you had the Brothers Destruction as well. But for you to see that visually, it's as a kid.
From that, I started watching more. My cousin used to tape things for me. But then my dad, against his will, bought me a couple of videos as well. I remember the first video I got was SummerSlam '99, actually. So it was that was a good show itself. Yeah.
Triple H, Foley, and Austin main event. Jesse Ventura. I'm a fucking nerd.
Yes.
We're all nerds. But it's all good. It's all good though. So you kind of grew up in the Attitude Era then.
Yeah, it's the mid to late Attitude Era. As it came out. But obviously, when I started getting more into it, I went back and watched more of it, and also watched some WCW, because WCW wasn't really shown in the UK. That's the thing.
Yeah, it wasn't maybe you get Nitro if you're lucky.
If you have to really look hard though for it. So
if you found a WCW VHS. Virgin Megastore was showing the age now. Some of these shops. And if you found a tape, oh wow, it's not WWE logo. Yeah. And you'd be like, oh, it's a wrestler, that's cool. Oh, I remember him. He was in WWE, like Macho Man or Diesel or Hulk Hogan even.
Yeah. Or you see, Sting was very noticeable, obviously.
He looked cool. Yeah. He's still going. Fucking hell. So we just established how you became a wrestling fan. But I want to know, just before you would become Champagne Charlie, I want to know, where did you begin your training?
Well, here's the thing. I'd wanted to get into wrestling years and years before, but as you probably know, British wrestling in the 90s didn't really exist. It was pretty much floundering, dead on his arse, pretty much gone.
Well, the sport had been terminated in the 80s.
Exactly. There were wrestling schools around, but here's the thing: they didn't really advertise them that well.
No.
If we don't have the social media like you do today.
No.
You know what I mean? So if you wanted to wrestle, it was very, very hard to find where to wrestle. That was the thing. So people would do other things, combat sports, to try and pass the time, but secretly wanting to wrestle. I know I used to do taekwondo, so I know I used to.
Really?
Yeah, yes, I wanted to.
So you are a fucking hard bastard then.
I really love myself. That's all I can say. But then I wanted to wrestle. My dad was not for it. He used to say, no son of mine is going to wrestle, etc. Yeah. I love my dad very much, but he's pretty tight on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, years and years passed. I finally left, because I'm originally from Salford. I left Salford, moved down here for work purposes, and I started going to a couple of local shows around. And a friend of mine, who I went with the shows with, he started doing training. And then he calls me one day and says, "Hey, what are you doing today?" Well, not much. Why? He goes, "Get your gym gear, come with me to this place." Right. So we go on the train, we go to Chafford 100, and we're picked up in a car by another wrestler. And
Chafford 100 for the Essex people, near Lakeside.
Yeah, near Lakeside, yes. And we go to Purfleet, which is just over the bridge, past Lakeside. And I get there, and we're at this gym, and outside, this is a hot sunny, so outside there's a bunch of guys assembling a ring. So it's like, okay, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good friend there. So was that at the time when you went there? Was that when it was Dropkicks?
That was Dropkicks Academy of Wrestling, or DKW as it's now shortened, but still stands for the same thing. Dropkicks Wrestling, Dropkicks Academy, etc. So it's pretty much the same thing.
I went there once. I must have been 18 or 19. I actually got lost, to be fair, originally. I went there once, and there's a reason why I'm doing the interview and you're the wrestler. Yeah. I respect anyone who does it, but I just couldn't do it, man. It's just me.
Believe me, I didn't. And there was a lot of people who didn't think I was going to make it. That's the actual truth. You can talk to some people who've said that, and
elaborate on this. Why?
When the people used to meet me for the first time, I'm not someone you just look at and automatically assume wrestler. Okay, people have a certain stereotype in their head of what a wrestler is supposed to look like. I think people are still fascinated by the look of the 80s, where it was like the hulking specimen and stuff like that. But some people don't seem to realize, how things have changed. You get wrestlers of all different all different sizes, body types. You know what I mean? And so it is.
People are still fixated with body, like with Diana in AEW.
Oh yeah,
just fuck off. Honestly, look yourself in the mirror, for God's sake. I actually was going to say about you, I thought you'd be a businessman. Yeah. So when I first met Champagne Charlie before recording, I was like, "Hey, so you got meeting after this?" Like,
exactly.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment. Don't worry.
In my day-to-day life, I like to present myself in a certain way. Everyone's different. That's the thing. So
I'm just a bit like I'm from a 90s hip hop video at the moment.
But some people didn't think I would last 6 months. You know what I mean? And there are some people, they sometimes make their little whips, because I don't do flips. That's fine, you know what I mean? I'm not comfortable doing that kind of stuff, I may not, I don't have the best body, which is fine, you know what I mean? That's just, I do what I can to keep in shape anyway. So it's these little things sometimes, sometimes you have your
people are still stuck in their ways.
Yeah, exactly.
But look at some of the best. Mick Foley, Dusty Rhodes, even like today, like Eddie Kingston. I know, like some people don't like him. I think people just kind of jump on the bandwagon with that. But he's still a star, and he still cuts good promos, and you believe in him.
Look, listen, there was a few family members who I told I was wrestling, and they didn't, and they laughed about it. The actual truth, because I was in my family, I was the black sheep. Okay, all my family in Salford. Now, Salford is basically back in the 90s was one of those places where if you had dreams or aspirations, don't bother with it. That's the thing. A lot of them are tradesmen, which is fine. You know what I mean? But I wanted to do something different. I loved acting or stuff like that. And then wrestling came along. And so they would say, "Oh, you can't get into wrestling. They're about 4 times your size. They'll kill you." And a few people when I won my first championship, I sent them a picture of me with a belt going like that.
If you can find that photo for me, by the way, please share it. That'd be great. When did you make your official in-ring debut?
Okay, so my first official in-ring debut. Now, I'm trying to join now, but I'll bring to kayfabe here. I have had a couple of gimmicks before which didn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
But my first in-ring debut was in a battle or a rumble match, which most things are.
Yeah.
I was on a different gimmick back then, which I didn't see as an in-ring character. I started off doing managing first because I was better on the mic than I was in the ring at the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to find a place to fill somewhere. You know, they had a guy who was okay at talking, but not great at the time. So they put me with him, you know, to try and here's the thing, like I said, he was a good talker. He didn't need a mouthpiece, but I think I was put with him to try and reel him in a little bit until he found himself. Do you want to know who that was? So that was Jordan Saeed.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out to him. I met him last year actually at Close Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, great. Man who's doing great things.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Fair enough. I might have mentioned that because I think I'm going to be back there this year. I can tell you do have to get to Gab though.
Yeah.
Like I've heard some stuff with you and John Scott.
Yeah.
John's Network. Shout out to him. Good friend of the show. Just a good friend.
Yeah, he's a great interviewer. Yeah.
Did you find with the promos? I will touch the wrestling as well. But I think promos have become a bit of a lost art, in my opinion. I think you're going to agree with that.
Absolutely.
But I want to know from your point of view and just how you improved your own speaking skills. Did you find any influence? Did you find yourself watching any promos or even outside of wrestling?
Well, there's a couple of things. One thing that helps is my background in theatre. That's one thing I think that helps, because you're able to present and articulate is one thing. But also the promo, you can't really. I don't think you should. Some people pre-write their promos, which is fine, but that's not necessary. I think a promo has to be something that's raw, that comes from within. That's exactly, really, because people can tell when you're being genuine and when you're not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do to hide yourself. People know.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So if you're in the moment of, like, say you've been run down or you've been or you've been passed aside many times, let those emotions come out in those things. Make it something real in that moment in time. And you're right, it isn't lost art. I mean, there are some really good people who do promos today, but at the same time, you look at some people in the business. I'm not going to point any names out, but like in the big leagues, and they're given a certain push, and it's like, you know what I mean? But that's it.
I do feel like character work is so important. Don't get me wrong. Yes, you should be able to know what you're doing in the ring, 100%. But it's just I think it has changed a little bit.
Yes,
everyone's kind of worried about what the fans think online and the ratings and the opinions or whatever.
Yeah.
And fair enough, if that's how you work, that's absolutely fine. But I think the character work, in terms of selling the merch, creating that story and that emotion, it's just as important.
Yeah, it is.
As your technique as well.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're entertaining people as well.
Yeah, 100% agree, mate. 100% agree. As you explained, like before you became Champagne Charlie, you had a few gimmicks and stuff, but this is who you are.
Yeah.
If you had to explain to a wrestling fan who hadn't seen you before, who exactly you are?
Champagne Charlie is the life and the soul of the parts. I come in, I dance around, I have fun. So what happens at most parties, particularly in the north? You arrive, you have a drink, you have fun, probably smash somebody, and then leave. So that's pretty much Champagne Charlie in a nutshell.
Just wants a good time. You've got your own theme song.
Oh yes,
theme song's brilliant. By tell me a bit more about it.
Nathan Leach, who composed that song. He writes and composes and also sings the tracks. That's if you want vocals on it, and it's not just me. He's done it for.
Really?
He's done.
I thought it was like a mix of an old song or something.
No, he did it himself. He did
Shout out to him.
So Nathan Lee, he's also done compositions for Vicky. Two films in her.
Shout out to her. She's been on the show before.
Andros J, another one as well. He's done a couple of others as well, I believe. But But that's the thing. I'll plug this right now. Anyone who wants their own. Because sometimes you get hit with what's the copyright thing if you use an already.
Yes, you do. You do. I know that.
So if you want to get your own theme, Nathan Leach is your guy. That's what I'll say right now. Okay.
Awesome. Shout out to Nathan Leach.
Yeah.
So we've established your debut. We've established the training and the journey that you've been on. So I want to know, just before I go to the Q&A, because I've got a lot of questions for you, my man. Champagne Charlie, you are very popular, and some of these questions are phenomenal. So
I still find it surprising sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you're
a popular guy. Like I've seen your work. Like you just want to go out there, have a good time. The fans are on your side.
Yeah.
I mean, the theme song, the entrance. You go out there, you give it your all, and you just want to cheer for you. You are a likable character, And I feel like that is you, just enhanced a little bit.
Thank you.
And I do apologise. I was actually going to bring the champagne today, but I didn't have enough time. So you do not put the host.
I'm joking.
I'm joking.
Yeah. I was going to say it's 12 o'clock somewhere. That's
At the time of recording, just a little insight for the people that are going to be listening to this episode. This has been done at 10:42 a.m.
Yeah.
on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And neither of us are hangover. So hangover, you get the point.
Yeah, you get the yeah.
Maybe I am. I don't know. No, I'm joking. I'm drunk this week. So, give me some of your personal highlights.
Personal highlights. Okay, so one of my personal highlights, obviously, everyone remembers their first match. Like
Yes.
I said, it may suck, but you still remember it. So that was one. Like I said, one of my previous gimmicks, I wrestled a guy called Laser Lagden, and he was a real pleasure to work with. He doesn't really wrestle anymore, sadly, but he was really good when he was around.
Shout out to Laser.
Really took really taught me very well. Which was very kind of him. I remember my first championship victory which was on Mortal Wrestling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Mortal Wrestling Fighting Championship. Yeah. I beat Frankie T and Amber Joe to win that title.
Match on YouTube, by the way. I would suggest people go out of the way to watch it. It's a fun match.
Oh yes, and that was I was very flattered that they gave me the opportunity to be the champion, and I had to change a few things when I became champion because at the time we just not long come out of pandemic. You know what I mean? When we did that, I was in terrible cardiovascular shape. I can take shots at myself. That's fine. But when I became champion, I made some changes. I ended up losing 20 pounds, which is pretty good. So
fair play to you, mate.
I went around up and down the country and I defended the title. Yeah, 581 days.
Was you yeah, so just to touch on this, because I've been told from a few people how they know you. They've seen you around Southend.
Yes.
With the title belt.
Yeah.
My own fucking barber knows this guy.
Promotion in the town,
Oh, mate, I respect it. So, that's going back to what we said earlier. Like, we should know each other.
Oh, yeah.
That's the mental thing. Like, everyone in the Southend, they know me.
We should have been friends like years
I know.
before.
But we're going to make up for the time that we
definitely
should have spent together as friends and talk about wrestling and doing this earlier.
It's going to get messy after this. So, yeah.
Like you said, it's 12 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
But the fact that self-promotion as well, I love that, mate. I love that. It's just like, there's a guy walking around the bell, do you know? It's like, I think his name's Champagne Charles. Like, no, mate, no. And it's my first time seeing you last year. It was Prodigy.
Yes.
You didn't get the win, unfortunately, though.
No, I didn't. So, but the guys, Prodigy, gave me an opportunity, which I'm grateful for. Anytime a new company comes along and they give me a call, it's both an honor and a privilege because it means we trust you to entertain on this show. So it's a great thing.
We're going to put you on the posters. Literally, like another thing as well. When what was it? I think it was the other day when I was in Bedford, coming back from Bedford.
Yeah.
And then I had to stop at Benfleet. I see a poster of this man. I see a poster. Sorry, just because when I'm pointing, people don't realize I'm actually talking about you.
Yeah.
I was just like, I had to take a photo. I was like, he's everywhere.
One of my friends who's not in wrestling actually called me the other day. He goes, I saw your post. He goes, I see your ugly face everywhere now.
Can't escape you, man. Can't escape you. But no, it's been a good chat there. What I'm going to do is, I don't think I've had so many questions before for a guest when it comes to Q&A. So, are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
So, let's go. So, great guest, by the way. He appeared on the show and now has become a friend. Gareth Angel Thompson. Shout out to that man.
Yeah.
Would like to know, who do you still want to face that could realistically happen?
Oh, realistically happen. Definitely want to face Gareth Angel, though. We've talked about it working together at some point. Listen, whoever they put in front of me, I will wrestle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is the actual truth. I'd love to get the opportunity to wrestle someone who's either worked for one of the big companies, like someone who used to be WWE or something. I mean, the guys behind Closed Doors Wrestling, which is in, I think, Southampton, I think it is. I mean, they recently had that guy, Roger Sears, face one of your former guests, Eric Young. To get that kind of rub, to work with someone that kind of,
to be in the ring with them.
Exactly, would be a privilege. And not only that, to learn as well.
Yeah, absorb as
one
much as you
person
can.
who I've learned from, I've never wrestled him, but I've met him and we did a seminar to meet in my early career. He's a great guy. Joe Legend. Joe Legend, you know,
Joey Legend.
Joey Legend, yeah. He's Richard from Canada. I believe he lives out in Germany these days.
Yeah.
Now, but he's someone I'd love to wrestle. You know what I mean? So
hey, sort of throwback. I remember him as Just Joe.
Joe, yeah.
It was like they didn't really explain the gimmick very well.
Nah,
he was just basically a nosy fucker.
But
if
you think of the people who he grew up in the business with,
Edge,
Christian,
Rhino,
exactly. You know what I mean? So,
and then they throw that gimmick.
And he's still got it. I saw one of his matches recently.
Yeah,
he can still go. Yeah.
Joe's mentor. I used to go to a lot of shows as a kid. Never saw him live.
No.
And he used to be on a lot of shows in the UK. Yeah. Never saw him once live.
Did you watch that corny as hell celebrity wrestling that happened back in 2000?
Oh my God, D'Lo Brown.
Well, yeah,
and Randy Piper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was atrocious.
Yeah, it was awful. I asked him about that. I asked him because Joe Legend was on one of the coaches.
Yeah.
And he said, I said to him, when you did that show, did you know who the fuck any of the celebrities were? And he goes, well, I knew who Victoria Silver was. He goes, and what was that guy's name? He goes, the guy who fucked Diana, or James Stewart. Yeah, so he wasn't really tacked. Yeah, so yeah.
I don't remember any of those. I just remember like D'Lo, Joe.
Celebrity is kind of a strong word. So
people that were bored.
Yeah,
needed
exactly,
money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going back. That is.
That is bad.
I'm gonna have to pinch that after this interview, actually, to be fair.
I don't know where you can watch it. I think it's been deleted from history.
Thank for a fucking purpose.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Gareth, for that question. Michael Anderson is asking, who is your favorite wrestler of all time? Surprisingly, I've not actually asked that. So
this is a difficult one. Obviously, my first favorite when I first got, like I said, because I mentioned Undertaker, was Kane. It was just the allure of the mask and stuff like that, and back then he was gigantic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then as time I got more into the like the flamboyant characters, Macho Man, Ric Flair. So yeah, exactly. But Ric Flair in particular, I mean, so yeah. So those I don't really have one necessary favorite. But I'm a big fan. I was a big fan of the over the top, personas, where it was okay for guys to be flamboyant. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing I have always described myself as, not only as a wrestler, but in my day-to-day life, I am quite flamboyant with the way I come across. Do you know what I mean? And some people don't know where to place me. You know what I mean? So when I first started seeing people like Flair and stuff, I was like, you know what I mean? So it was just
Oh, let's take a bit of that, take a bit of Macho.
Yeah.
Maybe somehow incorporate a bit of Kane.
Well, probably just being a bit bigger, that kind of thing. Because I'm a heavyweight wrestler. That's the thing. So yeah.
Awesome. You got good taste, by the way. So Denise St. George wants to know, who would you love as your tag team?
Here's the thing. I've done a couple of tag teams already. You know what I mean? And I'm in one right now. I was for 2 years teamed with Benny Nitro. We were the Champagne Supernovas together. Came close to winning the DKW tag title. Sadly, that never happened. And then we ended up feuding against each other. But in all seriousness, the 2 years I had teaming with Benny were great fun.
Benny's good. Yeah, I like, not to say like I'm ignorant wrestling, but I never heard of him before until that show project. Like, I know about you before.
Yeah.
But I was like, he's good.
I'd love to be able to do something with him again. I really would. But like I said, who knows what
different paths and stuff.
Exactly. My current tag team partner, who's also one of my best friends, Dalton Garrett. The Nomad Dalton Garrett, who's been in the business for over 20-something years. Big super heavyweight, and we've traveled thousands of miles together up and down the country. You know what I mean? But he is we wrestle as the first class, which is great fun. You know what I mean? And we've traveled into some of the northern territories where we're not very well known. So we're going into new places nearly every single time, which is great fun.
Do you find yourself when you go to northern areas, like near where you're from originally?
Yeah.
Do you get cheered?
Here's the thing. I only started going into the Northern Territories recently, which was back mid.
I love that word. So, say again.
Yeah. Northern Territories.
Yes.
In Territories last year.
Yeah.
So because now to you I sound Northern, but when I go back home because of my voice, as you mentioned, we mentioned off camera before. I don't necessarily sound too strong Northern accent.
It's always a hint.
Yeah. So when I go up there, it sounds different to them. So they think I'm from here sometimes. So because of that, they actually boo me up there.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and this was I'm from the northwest. This is the northeast where I went to. So this is like Sheffield area, close to Newcastle, some of those areas. Anyway, I don't know if I should say this or not.
Go for it.
I've been asked to appear at a promotion in April called Bolton Town Wrestling, and Bolton is only, I would say, half hour away from where I grew up in Salford, just outside Manchester.
Yeah.
And so going up there and actually wrestling amongst my family and friends,
That's really awesome.
That's going to be
Bit of a homecoming
it's one of the things I always wanted to do. I've always wanted to go home and wrestle because there are some people there who have actually never seen me wrestle. Yeah,
awesome.
my dad lives in right in Manchester still. My entire career, right, I can count. Do you want to know how many times he's seen me wrestle?
Oh,
just twice. That's it. And I've been wrestling for like 8 years.
Yeah,
twice. Yeah.
Oh, if anyone, sorry, just can't forget this is being recorded as well.
Yeah,
I put 0.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough, man. That's gonna be quite an emotional time as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, where you put the finger to him when you had the belt.
Yeah.
But for you to go back, establish wrestling early, you've been doing it for a while now.
Oh yeah.
For you to be like, "It's what I do.
Mm.
I'm Champagne Charlie."
Mm-hmm.
Just a few more questions to ask, and we're going to wrap this interview up. Anna Marie Childs has asked, I love you laugh that way.
Yeah.
Has asked, how was your wrestling journey changed and evolved since you first started? Good question.
Well, it's what's changed is how people have perceived me. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I first few years, I wasn't really taken very seriously.
Yeah.
And I trained at DKW. I still train at DKW now, but I was trained for the first 5 years, apart from DKW bookings, because DKW have the rule is if you train, you get booked with them, right?
Yeah.
But then obviously people want to start branching out.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any bookings. I didn't get booked on a lot of shows, before, I tried to put the feelers out, but no one was interested. And it took one person to give me a chance.
Who was that one person?
That was Jay White, who owns not Jay White as in the
Twitch page, yeah.
Jay White, promoter who runs Immortal Wrestling.
Yeah.
He gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I remember that first match at Immortal. It was different. It was being in a new venue that I've never been before was quite something. You know what I mean? Being in a new company, seeing how things are run differently. My first match there was against Curtis Elliott.
Yeah.
And and from that I started getting more and more bookings here, there, and everywhere. And so now I feel I'm in a good position where I've earned that kind of respect, from my peers. Where people would say, "Oh, Champagne Charlie, we'll work with him, or we'll book him." You know what I mean? So now I'm actually on people's minds, whilst I couldn't even get a thought of a few years ago.
And you've got a following, like I've got loads of questions. Unfortunately, I'm unable to actually ask a few more, just because we are going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Just at the time we do have to wrap up because the pub itself will be open because it's very busy.
Yeah.
Part of Tavern. We can actually see quite a few people already queuing up.
Yeah.
You might be able to see it on the camera. So I can't see myself, but I can see it in the corner of my eye. So, so I do apologise because our RT on Instagram, but maybe next time I'll get your questions answered. But I'm sure Champagne Charlie will reach out to you and let you know personally about the questions, because you have some good questions. So as we are going to officially wrap this interview up, shout out to Part Tavern. Thank you very much for coming to this interview as well. But is there anything you want to say, anything you want to promote as we're now at the end of this interview, Champagne Charlie?
Just support indie wrestling. You know what I mean? These guys, so there are some people who do this as their full-time job. I mean, this is their bread and butter, and this is their passion as well. So support all wrestling. And get to check it out. If you're not a fan, give it a try. That's all I'll say. It's a great form of entertainment, and you'll have a great day out as well.
Awesome. Where can the listeners find you on social media?
Find me. It's Champagne Charlie Vintage 92 on Instagram. Also follow companies such as the likes of DKW, Immortal Wrestling, CCW, IWE. Great companies, stuff like that. So awesome. And hopefully there'll be some more stuff on the horizon very soon.
Fantastic. Gonna shake your hand. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very
much. Appreciated. Shout out to Tom Davis, who helped put this together as well. So he's a good friend of mine. He's assisted me with the show as well. He's currently working behind me. Don't know if he's made a cameo in this or not, but much appreciated, Tom. Thank you very much. But if you can all like this video, follow Champagne Charlie on his social media. I'll put the handles in the description below. If you can follow me on my social media handles, they'll be in the description below as well. Bloody hell, so there's people in the corner that kind of frame up a little bit. But it's all good. But for now, everyone, hope you all have a great weekend. Subscribe to the channel, see what I've got lined up, because I will be If you haven't seen already, I will be potentially wrapping up at 200 episodes, but who knows? But for now, everyone, take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
It is the GOAT, the best 20-year-old wrestler in the world, Ronan King, baby. And I'm on the What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard. Watch the episode and you'll get the reference.